Hey everybody, welcome to the Mash and Drum Whiskey Room. I am Jason C. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have a couple of very special guests tonight. One you know, this is Matt from Whiskey Crusaders. Say hi, Matt.
How's everybody going tonight?
And then our very special guest tonight from Bruichladdich, a brand ambassador, Erica Beindorff. Hope I said that right.
You did. I'm so impressed.
All right. Well, say hi, and thanks so much. Thanks so much for coming on. And we're going to be talking all things Bruichladdich tonight. One of my favorite distilleries. If you guys know and you watch my channel, I go on and on about them, how much I love their stuff. So we figured Matt has done some work with Erica before, and he was kind enough to put me in contact with Erica so she could come on and we can sip some really great Bruichladdich products and get a little geeky about what they do, because it is a little bit different than the way most distilleries kind of do things, which is what's so interesting about them. So first off, I want to say congratulations to my boy Matt up there for Whiskey Crusaders. Their channel just hit 500 subs today, guys. So congrats to Matt.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
it. Well deserved. Well deserved. You're putting out some great content.
We try.
So before we get started, I just want to say hi to a couple of people in the chat. We have OG Brick is here, Robot Scott, Trev Wilson, Brandon Elliott, Radislav Traps, Robert Kemetz, Johnny Drum, Steve A, Donald Rance, Richie Z's in the house as always. Jason Coates is here, T Green, Trev Wilson, Stellar Matrix, Robot Scott, Arthur Lopez is here, Morik jumping in, Alex Julian. And Whiskey Ace is here as well. Scott, my bourbon journey. How you doing, buddy? One Lost Cause is here. Christopher David. Mark JG is here. William Davilar. Sharper 4221. Tech 187. Usual suspects and more jumping in as we go. So before we get started, Erica, why don't you introduce yourself and let us know what you do with Bruichladdich and how you kind of got started with them.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Erica Beindorff. As kind of mentioned, I work heavily with the Bruichladdich portfolio. My background is anywhere from being whiskey ambassador prior for Brown-Forman, which had Woodford, Old Forester, Jack Daniels, which many of you guys I'm sure have consumed at some point or another. And then I went over to the Remy Cointreau portfolio, which is who I work for directly now. I was their whiskey ambassador for the United States, kind of East Coast, Southeast Coast for about 2.5 years or so. And then now I've been moved into what's called essentially brand development manager, which is just a fancy term for premium high-end brown spirits. So so all things brown, which is great for me because I love single malts and cognacs and scotches and all things relating to that portfolio. So yeah.
Well, that's
a very
great.
Short-ended version of kind of what I do, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the actual story is a lot longer than that, but it's okay.
Of course, they always are.
For time purposes. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna kind of go through some questions, and while we'll do that, we'll definitely sip some whiskey, sip some great product here that you could talk through a little bit. If any of you in the chat have any questions for Erica, try to highlight me and put them in the chat or send a super chat if you really want to get them in. And I will make sure I'll highlight them and get your question answered after all my questions are answered. So I guess first question. Well, first, let's pour something. Want to start with some Bruichladdich?
For sure. I think we should start kind of what we like to kind of sometimes call our house style, what most distilleries would say to start somewhere. Because we have such a range of Bruichladdich, which we'll go kind of through tonight, I would start unpeated, number one, and number two, I'd start with our classic laddie, so the baby blue bottle.
Of course.
Oh. I will pour myself a dram here.
I already have some poured, so I was ready.
Well, yeah. Fantastic.
We're ahead of you. We already started drinking because, classic laddie is the perfect place to start.
Hello, Karen B. Ford, Sean Paisley. How you doing, guys? Thanks for coming in. Yep, pulling that double stream. I had a stream last night. I had a fun quiz night with Bourbon Junkies and I Whiskey Shoe Ones. We had a good time last night.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and kind of at least get ourselves acquainted with this glass.
Yeah, let's dive in. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat what you guys are drinking if you're having some Bruichladdich along with us tonight.
Yeah. We don't judge. Anything will do. It is Thursday, I know, or Wednesday, or whatever day it is. So
this is made with pure Scottish barley, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, so now the way you guys kind of hunt down different barleys from all over Islay, and you use that to your advantage to try different flavor profiles and experiment. The classic laddie, from my understanding, is it's the same barley always. Is that correct? Or do you?
So we're essentially, it might be a different, genetics or something like that. We might be pulling from different style, 2-row, whatever. But overall, especially with Bruichladdich, we are looking for consistency, and even more so, it is Scottish barley for us. So it's not just Islay barley specific from certain farms grown specifically for Bruichladdich. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, overall, I would say classic laddie is probably one of the most, I wouldn't say maybe complicated, but it definitely, we look, like I mentioned, more for consistency than anything else with this particular product. We want you to pick up this glass and essentially have the same, nose, taste, feel, everything that you had, the same bar or a different bar or a
it's so wonderfully floral and sweet at the same time to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's super great about Bruichladdich is it's a very approachable Islay Scotch. It doesn't totally like overwhelm the palate or the nose or anything like that. So you can pick up barrels out of it, wine barrels or whatever. So it has so much, so much going on.
One of the things I noticed with the classic laddie, the first time I had it, really that I thought it was peaty, even though I know it's unpeated. Yeah. I've heard that from a lot of people. Had that same thing say, "You swear it's not peated?" Yeah. I know it's not, but how come people pick it up? Have you had that question a lot?
All the time. I get it all the time. And truth be told, we are distilling on Islay, so we are getting some of that maritime kind of consistency that you might get from an Islay style Scotch. We're getting probably some of it from essentially the char, which doesn't really have a flavor note, but the toast or the char off of the barrel, which might also give you that smoky little note. And sometimes sometimes people are like, kind of like, it tastes peaty. And I'm like, well, if you were trying a bourbon, it would taste smoky or, toasted or something like that. So I have to kind of derive what kind of smoke you're tasting, I guess, whenever you're tasting it. Is it the iodine medicinal style, or is it just maybe like a toasted marshmallow style? So they're not all the same, obviously.
Yeah,
when I
was kind of first starting out in Scotch, and I kind of I gravitated toward the classic laddie, I did think it was peated as well, just because I didn't really have a lot of experience with peated Scotch yet. So, but then when you kind of smell one against the other, you know it's not peated. I think it's just more, like you said, that character from the barrel and smoke. And I really think, though, those maritime notes, as you mentioned, really play a role as well.
I mean, we're on an island, so these casks are seeing a lot of that sea spray.
All right, let's grab a pour. Let's grab a sip, everyone. Cheers! Thanks for coming on, everybody, and cheers to you out there. Cheers. Woo!
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Oh.
You can't go wrong with that, that's for sure. Especially for the price, you really can't go wrong for $50.
Yeah.
The thing I love about classic laddie, it's almost effervescent.
Yeah.
It just like tingles, and like you would think it's like ginger ale or something on the back.
I've gotten that a lot, and people also pick up a lot of almost wine, like white wine notes, like a Chardonnay or.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
That. So the notes that you're mentioning are exactly what I sometimes get. Somebody that's drinking it for the very first time, or even why they continue to go back. I mean, it's a very versatile Scotch. Obviously, we're drinking it neat in its purest form, which is lovely to be able to do. But a lot of people that are more of the cocktail connoisseurs or want something light and bright during the summer, it does really well just mixed up as well. So it's a super great base any way you do it.
Yeah, I think the use of the sweetness of it kind of defies the 100% barley in there. It's just so sweet, and it's so Yeah, it's so good. I love it's. Anytime I want to introduce someone to Scotch, I actually go to that bottle a lot.
Oh, that's awesome to hear.
I just want to call out one thing for those in the chat watching. I will be giving away my my Four Roses 2019 limited edition small batch sample tonight for all of you that entered watched my review this week. I will have the list tonight. We'll do it at the end of the show. I will give away a sample of that special bottle. So stay tuned for that, guys.
Very cool. Love that.
So now some of my questions here. So from the website, it says we passionately believe in terroir, in authenticity, place, and provenance, and ultimate traceability. We seek to produce the most natural, thought-provoking, intellectually stimulating, and enjoyable spirits possible. We are Progressive Hebridean distillers, which I love. So my first question is, when it comes to the Bruichladdich sensibility and craft and creating their single malts, what does Progressive Hebridean distillers mean, and how does that translate to the whiskey in each bottle?
Yeah, that's number one. Thank you so much for our marketing department for making us sound so fancy. No, but we you know, it's you know, it really does speak a lot to the spirit that we are making. You will hear a lot with whatever story potentially you're ever talking about with Bruichladdich, and we like to lean into this is those people, the Progressive Hebridean distilleries and or distillers, and then beyond that, the people that make up Bruichladdich are the, you know, it's huge for us. We are the biggest employer on the essentially the island of Islay, and the second to smallest as well. So that just goes to show you that we are a true believer in what we're making and how we're making it. If there's absolutely nothing wrong with mechanicizing or essentially, you know, putting computers into distilleries or anything like that, but we still have the same equipment that was used back in 1881, essentially, that's been, you know, renovated to some degree, obviously. But we believe that if it wasn't broken, don't fix it per se. So,
well, I mean, on the
make it.
On the subject of terroir, which again is barley, you know, interaction with the soil, microclimates. You know, barley is a plant. It can be affected by many factors: the soil, how it's grown, all that, all the stuff that Bruichladdich uses to its advantage. Now Bruichladdich has historically led the charge on terroir and talking about it and making it a part of their, you know, their marketing even. So what is the process like for them when they're out and they're choosing barleys from different regions? Are they starting from scratch and just saying, are I understand you guys work with a ton of farmers all over Islay, sourcing different types of barleys and experimenting. How is that process for them, and how does it go from I'm going to select this barley here and put it in this bottle?
Yeah, great question. So essentially, like you mentioned, we're working with a lot of different farmers on the island of Islay. Roughly about 17 different farmers are helping us with that venture. So I often say that Islay, for those that don't know or haven't been or getting a true sense of the place, if we weren't distilling, people would probably just be farming or sheep herding there, because there's just it's a very small island. There's not a whole lot of going on. There's about 3,600 people and about 36,000 sheep. So it really goes to show you that you know, we really more or less are a true island and believe a lot into the Scotch and everything. But beyond that, when it comes to our barley, obviously, those are we consider it a partnership. It is a relationship. When we seek out those flavors, it could be anywhere from our master distiller, Adam Hannett, or our forager, James, or whoever is going out to find that specific varietal. We are really looking more for a flavor profile and how it's going to taste and what it's going to do in the barrel and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes we don't know until 4 or 5 or whatever years later what it's going to taste like. A lot of the stuff, obviously, that we are coming out with now was laid down by prior generations of people that owned the Bruichladdich Distillery, and then Jim McEwen, and now in the hands of Adam Hannett. So I think it's kind of a lot of people are involved in the process of picking what kind of barley and where it's grown. Again, it goes back to terroir. If barley is grown by the sea or near a seaside, you're getting more of that salinity and maritime involvement. And if it's grown more inland, then you're getting more of those golden cereal notes. So that even plays a flavor. So we really love to talk about barley at Bruichladdich. I could have a whole entire seminar just about barley.
Are there new areas in Islay where barley is growing or has recently been harvested already that you like that's going to be used in new bottlings?
Yeah, so ironically enough, we actually at Bruichladdich just bought our own plot of land essentially, where we will be doing experimental barley strands, some that haven't been grown on the island of Islay yet, see how they progress in a sense and how they grow, and the ones that essentially work and don't work. But it's really exciting because we've always been obviously a huge relationship driven with our farmers and everything, but we can only go so far as the limits of what we're able to do. So having our own and being able to truly experiment is going to be huge for us. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I like the fact that every single one of your cans tells you what farms they all came from. You can go on the internet and scan it, and it'll tell you even more about the farms. It's freaking awesome.
We truly believe in transparency and saying everything about what you're drinking. I'll even bring it back to the classic laddie that's in our glass right now. The batch code is on the back of each and every bottle that we make, that you can go online and literally click on classic laddie and type in the batch code, and it will tell you how many different barrels, where it was in the rick house, so on and so forth. So we really want true transparency to show how much goes into the process of all these different scotches, essentially.
Real quick, I want to say hi to ADHD Fishing for coming in. How you doing, buddy? And Bourbon Junkies, what's up, guys? And also Dark Meat Chicken. How you doing, man? So that actually we just got a super chat with from Whiskey in the Six. Rob, also big fan of Bruichladdich. Thank you so much. He says, cheers, Jason. Can't stay, but you the man. Thank you very much. I'm going to give you a nice little cymbal crash for that one. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. What was I going to say? So that brings me into actually my next question, because there are fundamental rules in Bruichladdich DNA that makes it really hard for a whiskey lover to not love them. Transparency is one of them. I love the transparency, like you mentioned, what they do on the website, the farms that they where the barley comes from with each release. No color added. Bruichladdich never uses E150 for color. Everything's non-chill filtered, keeping all those natural oils in there, the flavor compounds. The slow trickle distillation helps get the best cuts. These fundamentals were, I think, sown by Jim McEwen for years, correct?
Yep,
I mean, he kind of laid that down for generations to come. And now they're in the hands, as you mentioned, of Adam Hannett, the head distiller, and Alan Logan, who's the distillery manager. How have they imparted their own DNA in releases that we know and love now, and also stuff that's coming up?
Sorry, how did they impart all of that?
Yeah, how are they kind of like putting their own like thumbprint on new bottles coming in and out? Are they kind of taking what Jim did and just kind of stretching it out even further, getting a little bit more sciencey about it?
Yeah, I think that again, it goes back to we're progressive, which you were mentioning earlier. We want to continue to be as progressive as possible. So while Jim is one of the most notable Scotch distillers and maybe one of the distillers in the world, imparted a heavy amount of knowledge, not only from the spirits that he was making, but the essentially the rebirth of what we know Bruichladdich to be today, which we're super grateful for, and we wouldn't have what we have right now. Jim was the mastermind behind, a lot of the stuff that you guys now see, like the Octomore and the Black Art and all of these lovely, beautiful whiskeys that you've seen come to be. I think what the main thing, and just like any either master distiller or head distiller or anything like that, The main thing is everybody from most distilleries, I would hope, has some capability to be able to put their stamp on whatever they're making. Obviously, Jim helped teach Adam. Adam was underneath him for a number of years, as many people are before they are given such a title. But I think Adam's mindset is, where can we push this now moving forward? Is it barley? Is it peat? Is it casks? Is it something even crazier, like not barley? Is it a different strain or something like that? So I think what's really exciting to see is, it's while it's been passed on to essentially another generation, if you will, we still want to hold those values really, really near and dear, like the classic laddie and the Port Charlotte and the Octomore, and all those are super important to us. But I think we'll continue to see more experimental stuff moving forward, obviously.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about the cask exploration program that you guys have.
Yeah, sure.
I read that Alan and Jim are particularly interested in virgin oak and have sourced new casks from Japan, Colombia, America, as well as France, looking to acquire Scottish, Eastern European, and also Mongolian oak as well. I can only imagine the possibilities of what you guys can create with all those casks.
Yeah, I actually, and I'm going to have to look back at my text string, because I'm in a chat with PhD chat. What's up? With all of the people across the globe, essentially. And so day in and day out, we get updates from the distillery, and usually it'll tell us, okay, we have this many casks, or here's a new cask rolling through, or whatever. So I can find the number of casks that we actually have in our warehouse, which is, I think I'm gonna go out on a lim here. I'm gonna say 276,000 odd casks or so.
Wow.
Which is a crazy amount, because only, if it were just virgin or just used bourbon, or it was just American oak, yes, that's a ton of casks. But if you were to ever walk through this in the warehouses that we have, it's almost like walking through a museum. I mean, you have casks that were brought in before Jim took over, and even after Jim took over, was, they just liked what was coming out of those particular casks, and we acquired them. So some of the background, I think, with Bruichladdich too, is many of the people that have been either head distillers or a heavy part with Bruichladdich, either essentially opening it back up or anything, have been huge wine lovers as well. And we all know wine to be, really quintessential with casks and all that, and what is being, absorbed, just like sherry, just like any of that kind of stuff. So I think that plays also an integral part into kind of where we're getting all of our stuff from, and kind of the development of where we see it moving forward. But I don't think they're done exploring casks and the power of what a good cask can do. I will say that obviously the liquid going into it is phenomenal, but even more so whenever you put it in a hundreds of year old sherry barrel or whatever. So you can't go wrong.
Yeah, if you guys are more interested in some of the casks exploration they do, go to their website and read about it. It's actually it's so interesting on what they're doing, and they're actually studying different maturations and drying wood and how to season it, and different methods to doing so. What parts of the barrel get affected most? It's incredible. So, as Richie Z said here, Bruichladdich is the perfect Scotch for your whiskey geek. So,
couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Also, want to say hi to Scotch Says Dummy. Scott is in the house. How you doing? He says hi to Whiskey Crusaders and Erica. How you doing? Thanks for coming in, Scott. If anyone has any questions, feel free to throw them in here and highlight them. If I don't see it, feel free to send a super chat, or I'll try to get it up there. I'm looking at two different chats so I could, see stuff. I have a question here from Donald Rance real quick. Oh, here it is. Are there any plans for Bruichladdich to experiment with other grains, rye, wheat, or oat?
Maybe.
Oh, so it's one of those I could tell you, but I might have to kill you.
Yeah. I go back to essentially what can be done on the island of Islay, and how can we progressively move this forward, essentially. I have heard there are going to be potentially other things grown besides just barley. There's not like a press release or anything out just yet. So stay tuned on that. But there have been rumblings at the distillery. So.
All right. So before we get into the next one, which is what are we gonna sip next, Erica?
I would go next into. You said you had the Islay Barley 2000. I see it right there. 2009.
Yeah, I have the lovely 2009 yellow can.
Perfect. And if you have 2010 by you, then go ahead and pour that one, and I can go over both of them.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
While we're pouring that one, I had a cool question from, let's see who came in here. Jason Unsworth. And this will actually be probably a hard question for you, Erica. And I don't know about you, Matt, but
it's easy for me.
What is everyone's favorite Bruichladdich product?
Octomore and Black Art.
I already knew that.
Yeah, I gotta say, I got a chance to try Black Art, and that's probably the best Bruichladdich I've had. That was amazing.
Yeah. I hate to be one of those people, but I think it changes depending on my mood and all that kind of stuff too.
Sure.
I love Octomore at the end of dinner or at the end of a long day. It's like one of my favorite drinks. I've grown to just absolutely fall in love with peat. But yeah, I also just love Islay Barley and tasting I just like going back to it and reintroducing myself and seeing the differentiation from year to year is super fun for me. So hard to pick.
Scotch Test Dummies, Black Art 4.1, best. I think that's the one I have that I got a chance to try. It was so good.
It's fantastic.
Oh, it's so fantastic. Probably one of the most complex scotches I've ever had.
Yeah, my wife's favorite scotch, no matter what, hands down, is Octomore 8.3 of all. It's probably her favorite whiskey of all.
I love that.
Really? That's cool.
She hates bourbon and rye. It's just they're too sweet. Peated scotch is the only thing she likes. Because the other stuff's just wimpy stuff as far as she's concerned.
That's hardcore right there. I love it.
That's so great.
All right, so let's start with the let's see. Matt, do you have the 2010?
9 and 10.
You have 9 and 10, okay.
Oh.
Problem solved.
Why am I not surprised?
Right? Seriously.
All right, so now this is the Islay Barley, and the 2009, like we mentioned, right here on the can, it gives you the farms that the Islay was harvested at. So this is Cleggan, Cruach Island, and Mullinry Farms. It also tells you on every can about the terroir and why it was chosen. I mean, it's the transparency is just off the chain. It's awesome.
Yeah, and with this particular one, so the 2009 is a true testament to number one, location and why it matters of barley. So I believe 2 out of the 4 of those are coastal, while the other 2 are inland.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a map in front of me, so excuse me if that is not correct. But I do know that some are coastal and some are inland. So that lovely blend that you will get from the 2009 of it being very, there's some salinity in there, there's some salt notes, there's some stone, I feel like, in there. So there's all that kind of stuff going on from the maritime influence, but also there's lovely honeysuckle and vanilla and golden notes in there as well from it being an inland farm as well. So.
Wow, that's good. Yeah, this is the main note that I got on here when I first opened this bottle, and it's gotten stronger as it's opened up, was apple.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot. I think when you said honey, there's a ton of honey in here too.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So this was the fourth, I believe, release of the Islay Barleys. This one is also in American oak as well.
But I get it. It does still keep that floral quality that's so great with Bruichladdich.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the more you work your way down the bottle, you start getting more like those vanilla notes and some burnt sugars. It gets so sweet once you get past the floral part of it.
Mm-hmm.
What are you getting now, Maddie?
A lot of what you said for the most part.
Yeah.
But there's also that like a open meadow as well that you get with the honeysuckle and the vanillas, like out with the wind blowing on Islay.
Yeah, I always describe it as like a wet rainforest or like a wet dew kind of ground in a way.
It's like a fresh cut like grass in the morning, like when it has some dew on it. Hey, we got a super chat coming in from Robert. I love his comment. Look at this one. Erica, you are lovely and much easier to look at than Jason. Thanks for
Not true.
Thank you so much, Robert. You get a nice crash for that one. Thank you. All right, I'm going for a sip. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Actually, Jason brought up a really good point. There is a sour like note to it. That's very. It's almost like eating a bag of not as sour as Sour Patch Kids, but it's that thing in Sour Patch. It's that thing in Sour Patch Kids that makes you want to keep going and finish a whole bag before half the movie's over.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Almost a saison beer kind of funkiness, but like sweetness, but kind of soury kind of note to it. I'm weird.
Oh, come on, Matt. Matt is dead sexy.
Oh, thanks, Jason. That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, this is let's see here. This is I love the stories of the farmers that are on the can.
Sure.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, Arthur Lopez just came in with a super chat as well. He has he says this. Arthur Lopez, two-parter and off topic. First thing, evening to you, Jason. Evening, Erica, and thank you for your sharing your knowledge. Matt, evening, and congrats to you. Thanks. Thank you so much. Arthur, I'm going to give you a little cymbal crash here. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. And thanks to, again, Erica, for coming on and schooling us tonight.
Of course. Matt, you're drinking the 2010, right, man?
I got that. Yeah, I've got that one next to it. We can switch to it for sure.
I figured you were going. I think one of my favorite things to do, jumping off of what is your favorite, is going side by side on Islay Barley and really showcasing how barley can really make.
They're quite different.
Yeah, vastly.
Oh, Arthur Lopez just came in with another super chat. Jason, I was at the Balcones 2 weeks ago and got some limited release wheated and high rye bourbons. Once I cracked them open, I want to send you some samples. Oh, very nice of you. Well, I'll contact you about that, Arthur. Thank you so much for the super chat again. Another one.
Those are both delicious, by the way, Jason.
All right. Well, I'm excited now. All right. So Matt, I could not get that Islay Barley has not hit Ohio, the newer one. So I'll lean on you to go through the differences here.
All right. Whereas this one is all
sweet.
Have
you guys Matt, have you seen the new one?
Ooh, no, I have not seen that one yet. That's not been here yet.
Oh, I love the dark gray labels. That's nice.
Cool. So this one's now. So the yellow tin is going away.
Uh-huh.
So change this up, and now you'll see these places.
Okay. Now I know what to look for.
What's really nice is they actually showcase the map, so I'm not guessing what's coastal and not coastal anymore. I can actually see.
Beautiful.
I'll send you guys a little sample of that one too.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, this is much more dense and dark than the 09 is.
So what's the difference? Yeah, Scott Says Dummies just said looks like the organic and Bear Barley tins. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They're all that same gray. I have the Bear Barley right here that we're going to be cracking open, which I haven't even tried yet, so I'm excited.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to try that one.
Yeah. So what's the difference in where the 09 was harvested? And you said it's coastal and inland is really the difference?
Yeah. So the 09, and granted, the 09 I have in front of me, the 10 I do not. So the 10, I believe, and Matt fact check me, but I believe there's 6 or 7 farms in that particular one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6.
Wow. Damn, Erica. Erica studies for canisters at night, everyone.
Oh my God. Don't hurt me if this is wrong, but yeah, you're dealing with not only different variation of where they're grown, but also variety and gene, I guess, barley style. I'm probably butchering that, but yeah, because there's hundreds of different kinds. We know Bear to be one, obviously, because we're about to try that, but there's a lot out there. So this one could probably, I would, if I were to guess, is probably a mash of different ones.
Yeah, this one's all replaced with like unbaked dough and cookies, and you've got your darkness in here too, with your stone fruits. It's a total, and their noses are not even remotely similar.
And I think that's the most interesting thing to me about Bruichladdich is you can buy. You think you're buying the same Scotch, but they'll be vastly different depending on where they're going to get their barley and the aging and what they do, which is probably the most interesting part for me.
Right. And it depends on obviously the cask that it's going through and all of that as well.
So do they switch up? Do they switch up the casks on the Islay barley releases as well?
They do. Yeah.
Okay.
So the 2011 is it's three different. Well, it's technically two styles, but it's about 50% of I want to say American oak cask and
I want to say hi to Drew Bills from
European.
I want to say hi to Drew Bills from Scotch 4 Dummies, and also Eric Waite just came in. So thanks for coming in, guys.
Yeah, so the 2011 is they do 75% of American barrels, and then the other 25% is European. So
okay.
So yeah, they'll change up casks as well as the farms, depending on what particular year we're using them for.
Yeah, this has also got like a lot of like moss on stone growing as well.
I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know where these are stored, but it kind of smells like a dunnage, to be real honest, on this one.
You might be dead on. I have trotted around a lot in those warehouses, if you will, and yes, they smell just like essentially what you're picking up.
See, now, what I need to do is go there. That's what I really need to do.
Oh, my friend, yes.
Eric Waite says the second D in Bruichladdich is silent.
Bruichladdich. Bruichladdich.
Bruichladdich. Well played, Eric.
Yeah, people in Scotland essentially chew the word up, so I butcher it myself, so I don't want to make it sound like Americans trying to sound Scottish. That would be not good.
Well, if anyone in the chat has any more questions for Erica in between pours here, then definitely let me know. Make sure you get your questions in. So do I guess when you're introducing Bruichladdich to a new Scotch drinker, do you think do they understand what kind of a Hebridean distiller is and being you think that part of it kind of clicks in their mind when they're tasting them from side to side, or is that kind of a hard thing, or do they just see it as maybe marketing speak?
I think it's half and half depending on who you're talking to. If it's somebody new being introduced to Scotch or Islay in general, really, I think talking, this is what we're about and this is why we say what we say. So essentially, like I said earlier, just kind of the people being heavily involved with the process, the island itself being huge and like very influenced by the type of spirit you're drinking, whether you're even drinking Bruichladdich or you're drinking another Islay, spirit in general. We want to make sure that we're educating while essentially explaining why you're tasting what you're tasting.
I think Bruichladdich is actually a wonderful. It's a wonderful distillery to study just for education purposes as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, historically, obviously, opening in 1881, we've gone through a lot of different transitions.
All right, Jim.
Essentially, mothballed, or not mothballed, but we were closed down for a while, and partially because of the gin and vodka boom, and partially because of just people not buying these limited release scotches that were exorbitantly expensive. So we've seen a lot of different transitions throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it also, like I said, it's like walking through a historic museum when you're going through the distillery, because there is so much history there in general. And like you mentioned, there's just so much to essentially talk about, whether it's the equipment that we're utilizing, that Victorian age equipment, or the people, or our philosophies of why we make what we make. Yeah.
Yeah, when I make it to Scotland at some point, that is probably one of the first places I'm going. So Eric Waite, who's in the chat, he visited Bruichladdich, said in June 2018, said it was a great tour, so he enjoyed it.
Nice. They're pretty great over there.
All right, so what's next? Are we going Port Charlotte? Are we ready, Erica?
Actually, let's jump into Bear Barley first before we go into.
Oh yeah, Bear Barley.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is now, Bear Barley has been kind of named now as part of this is going to be an annual release now. It's not a special release. Correct?
Correct. Yeah, so we've only seen 2 renditions of this so far. The 2008 and
here's the bottle, guys. This is the Bear Barley 2010.
Ooh, mine's an 08.
Oh, you have an 08? Nice. We could kind of compare them. This will be fun.
Yeah, Erica, I dug for 15 minutes to get this bottle out just for you. You know what's here.
Don't blame her. Don't blame her if you buy too many bottles, Matt. Jeez.
She knows. She's been here.
I've seen it. I have seen the castle of Bout whiskey.
So just for some background. Well, Erica, why don't you start? Why don't you tell us about this particular batch of Bear Barley and where it came from and what they did with it before they released it?
Yeah, sure. So for those of you that don't know, Bear Barley, spelled B-E-R-E. But essentially it's been around for what we know historically, thousands potentially of years. It's been around for a very long time. It is a finicky grain and is a finicky style of barley that we are essentially making. But we essentially are utilizing it for both flavor and kind of a different approach to really showcase again how barley really influences a Scotch, and more so just spirits in general, and how different they can be. So even if you were to put this next to the Islay barley, while yes, that has multiple farms and all that involved, it really does showcase that this is going to be completely different.
Yeah. So just to let you guys know, on the can, it's Wyland and Watersfield, Coiberstein, Northfield, and Richmond Villa Farms. So there's a lot of different barleys. This Bear Barley, I went into it from different farms to get this flavor profile.
Matt, yours is going to be a little different.
Yeah, mine's just the Dunalosset Estate.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So some of them,
farm.
I mean, and I don't want to like say it's the same approach as Islay barley, but again, it's just depending on who we are working with that particular year or where we want to grow or whatever. So
just for education purposes and to get kind of nerdy about Bear Barley, it's a 6-row heritage variety that has long been since forgotten from the modern world of standardized whiskey making. Its revival into present day has taken effort and resilience from an entire network of millers, growers, and agronomists. The Bear Project is dedicated to those like-minded souls who have preserved a legacy and found modern applications in flavorful food and drink, whatever the odds. This Bruichladdich Bear Barley was distilled in 2010 from a 2009 harvest brought home by Peter, John, Magnus, Sydney, and Duncan on the Orkney Islands.
Yep. And for those of you that are familiar with some of those people, those really extreme Bruichladdich fans, Duncan was essentially part of the mastermind behind putting our distillery back together again. Essentially,
wow.
We reopened it back in 2001. When people said it couldn't be done, there was no roof essentially on part of the distillery. He essentially with tape and staples put our distillery back together. So yeah, Duncan kind of helped with all that. So whenever you see his name, it's a big thing for sure.
Hey, we got Malton Montreal's in the house. What is up? How you doing, Swami? Thanks for coming in tonight. So let's get into the nose here, because this is one of the most unique noses I've ever smelled.
Yeah.
Scotch. It's when I first opened it, I just poured it. I took a quick whiff. It was so earthy.
Mm-hmm.
Super earthy.
And I feel like because I have the 2008 and 2010 and 2008 in front of me as well. And they are both pretty earthy. They both come across, at least from that profile, the same.
It's very malty up front, very earthy. You can almost smell like the soil. I mean, it's really strong on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is wet mud.
Yeah. But then once it opens up a little bit, then it's just really, I get a ton of pear.
I get green fruit. I was going to say like green apple, like pear, green fruit. Yeah.
Oh, pear. You still get a little bit of that lemon that you get in a good Bruichladdich too. Little lemon. Man, that is a really interesting nose.
Yeah. And once you spin it around a few times, now those fruits definitely come out.
Yeah, fruits really start coming out when you get some air in there.
Tons of lemon in this one.
Mm-hmm. No, there's some lemon in here too.
Yeah, I have the 2008 right now in front of me. So
ooh,
this one.
Still getting that really nice some honey in there.
Brown sugar.
Mm-hmm. Brown sugars. I think I'm getting I don't pick this up often, but maybe coconut.
Mm-hmm. Like toasted coconut.
Like toasted coconut. Earthy
or raw. I mean, it depends.
Earthy coconut, if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes
floral. I get a ton of flowery notes, like after I kind of spin it around. So
yeah.
It's like a field of flowers.
Yeah, like somebody stuck a bouquet in your face.
Yeah, exactly.
And then some like wood furniture polish.
In the best way.
In the best way, of course, in the best way. These are all good notes.
Yeah, see, Trev Wilson. Oh, where'd it go? Here we go. Okay, excuse my Scotch ignorance, but it truly smells like wet mud. I personally don't enjoy smelling mosses and mud.
Well,
yeah, but we like those. You get used to it. You learn to love these smells.
Yeah.
I think
you probably say the same thing to everybody, but I essentially, when I first started drinking, just like many people, like you don't immediately, at least most people don't immediately go to the funkier notes. Like you train your palate to some degree. So you go from vodka, then to tequila, then to maybe mezcal, then to maybe a scotch, then to maybe a peated scotch. So you kind of have to climb the ladder. I don't think most people at least would jump from like, Scotch, a Highland or a Speyside or whatever, and jump immediately over to Islay and be like,
that's right. I jumped to Lafroig first, so
yeah,
that was my gateway to Scotch. I tried Glenlivet and Glenfiddich, I was like, eh. Then found Lafroig, and I'm like, oh. And then I found Bruichladdich, I'm like, even better.
Yeah, and that's one of the things like you kind of get with a, especially this type of, with this Bruichladdich, when I first poured it, the earthy notes now are pretty much gone, and now I'm just getting all fresh fruit, floral.
It opens up a lot.
And it opens up amazingly, yeah.
And being non-chill filtered as well, like I'll add a drop or two of water to open it up even more. Obviously, with us being 100 proof, we recognize that we want you to choose essentially where you're comfortable at. If that's adding ice, if that's adding water, if that's nothing. It's a higher proof Scotch, just like a lot of them are out there. But we also want you to essentially be comfortable enough to pick where you're good with. And the more water I tend to add, the more of those kind of muddy notes tend to get drawn out, and the floral notes tend to go up.
And again, guys, non-chill filtered, natural color, 100 proof. Sticks to the glass like glue, really good legs to it. So I can't wait to try this stuff. Cheers.
I already dove into it.
Yeah, we couldn't wait for you, Jason. You're too slow.
I'm sorry. I love nosing a glass.
He's getting to know it. He's like, I'm romanticizing it for a little bit.
Wow. I did not. I did not expect it to be that fruity.
Yeah.
On the palate, it's a fruit bomb.
I still get like shortbread on the palate too, though a little bit, like a toasted shortbread, a tiny bit, and that might just be because of the 2008.
I still get the quintessential honey note, but the fruit characteristic in there what totally belies what the nose represents. So I mean, you do get some pear and some apple on the nose, but what you get on the palate, and it's so viscous on the palate too. It's incredibly mouth coating.
Yeah.
Again, non-chill filtered, 100 proof. I mean, it's just a great quality whiskey. It's kind of the same things I look for in bourbon. You know, you want non-chill filtered. You want you want it to be kind of a viscous, creamy profile, and this definitely delivers all that.
So all of them are also different ages. I do recognize that as well. So the Bear Barley 2008 is a 9-year-old.
Oh, Erica's going into the stash now. Here, Bob.
I know, like I'm climbing in. I'm like, we have bottles everywhere in this household, so I always have to, like, before I do anything, I'm like, I have to find where all of my different things are. Not that that's a bad problem to have. I love having that problem.
It's a wonderful problem to have, yes. No doubt.
It's not as bad as yours, Matt, but
This has become peaches.
Oh, okay.
In the glass. Yeah. I really like it. It's very unique. And like I said, the nose does not match the palate. It's so fruity. I love it. This is terrible. I'm gonna go through this bottle fast.
Just be like me.
I will say, you made the note of it being, we're going to continue to make this, but obviously, just like the Islay Barley, it's going to be different year over year to some degree. We want you to explore, just like, I don't want to say just like a wine, but every vintage of those things that come out are going to be a little different. We want you to be able to talk about your favorite, and now that I'm saying it, one of my favorite Islay Barleys was the Rockside, which I know everybody loves the Rockside 2007, but it is a true quintessential thing to be able to pick what your flavor note is.
There you go, Matt. Look at that comment.
Scott knows, he's been here.
It's so true.
When the kids are getting the bikes out of the garage, you got to move bottles around.
Yeah, it's just boxes. Those are empty. You never know when you need to transport liquor somewhere, like, to a La Quinta or something.
Oh, true. La Quinta.
Man, it's like such cereal on the nose, but so fruity on the palate. I love it.
Yeah, with the drop of water, it's just like crazy floral then on me.
Yeah. Like it draws out, and it again, I don't want it to completely get rid of those flavors, but it definitely gives way more floral and sweeter notes when you add that little bit of water.
I'm going to add a drop of water here and see what it does. Oh yeah, it totally made the nose floral.
Yeah, it's a really fun thing to do.
Oh yeah, on the palate, it made it totally sweeter. More of the honey's coming through. I still like it probably without water, but it does change it with a little bit of water. It's really good.
Yeah, I think it's, and again, I go back to kind of the finding where you want to live sort of thing with your Scotch. So purist or adding to the top or. And
what's good is bottling it at 100 proof allows you to kind of play with those, some water and stuff. It's not like we're already at, 43% or 40%, and you really don't got much more to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's freaking delicious. So
I'm so glad that we saw it live in front of everyone. First taste.
Yeah, that's really great stuff. I gotta search out the organic. I hear really good things about the organic too.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Are we getting peaty now?
Oh yeah, we're getting peaty now. Break out the PC. Break out that Port Charlotte.
Right.
Which one?
Port Charlotte.
The regular 10.
10 year? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
DJ Beacon, bear or bear or bear.
Yeah.
It's a lot of ways to say it.
There is. A lot of people also say beer, which I'm never going to correct them, but it is bear. Rawr.
I was actually calling it beer barley until I read online that it's actually pronounced bear. I'm like, oh crap, I better correct it.
Well, but that's the whole process, right? I don't think we grew up learning the varietals of barley, probably.
Should be a new course in college. Just sit around and learn about barley.
I would take that course tomorrow.
You probably sell it every semester.
I would love that.
So Steve A writes, not getting peaty, getting subtle, deep, and complex with some black art action. Very nice, Steve A.
Yeah, so a little bit about Port Charlotte, and not to obviously bore everyone that's kind of getting to know whatever glass they have in their hand right now. But Port Charlotte for us has been part of an adventure in a way of kind of coming to where we are today with the bottle that you see in front of you. We on the island of Islay have been heating whiskey for a long time. We have historic records back from the 1900s, late 1886, I want to say, where we were drying malt with peat. So we have actual records, and it might have been done before then. We don't know for sure, obviously, but we essentially started doing this from when they had another distillery on the island of Islay. It was called Lockendall Distillery. And Port Charlotte is a place. It is right south, if you want to be like specific on a map. Just hop, skip, and a jump from Bruichladdich, but that was where they were, using that peat to fire up and dry those malts. So we kind of take that story and heritage and all that, and from family members and descendants that have obviously moved on from other distilleries that now work at Bruichladdich, and kind of molding those stories together to create what's kind of in your glass here today. And the Port Charlotte 10, which was released last year, is just an even more tribute to what Adam Hannett is doing, what we have already done at the distillery, kind of being progressive and where we're going. Many people that are and obviously not anybody on this podcast, but the average consumer probably would go to a bourbon bar or a Scotch bar and just ask for a 10-year-old or a 15 or a 12 or whatever. And I think that sometimes it's super important to, notate that it's not just about age when it comes to Scotch. There's just so much more involved in the process. But, we are able to classify that the youngest thing, obviously, in your glass right now is a 10-year-old, and it can go anywhere up from there. So education is super important, again, at Bruichladdich. But then beyond that, it's a very hefty process that we're doing with the Port Charlotte, and it just won a ton of awards last year. We got Whiskey Advocate magazine, number, I think, 3 or 4 in the world. So I'm really excited to see where this particular one is going, because I think that, while we've already tasted so many lovely whiskeys, sometimes the Port Charlotte got a little lost in translation, because people would jump from that blue bottle to Octomore, and then Port Charlotte would get somewhere lost in between. So kind of seeing it of its rebirth, if you will, has been really super exciting for us. So
it's one of the few peated whiskeys I've had where I actually get baking spices on the nose.
Yeah, for sure.
And meat and bacon specifically.
Man, I get so much savory bacon. I'm with you. It makes me hungry.
So good.
Hickory, like a good fire pit, like after the kind of the smell that you have after you come back from a fire pit.
Definitely.
Yeah, smoking like brown sugar dusted bacon.
Yeah. Ooh.
I think I'd like to fry some bacon in this. I think it'd be delicious.
I would like to let like bacon like kind of sit in a pool of Port Charlotte 10 and then grill it or bake it in the oven, see how that comes out.
It'd be amazing.
So this one, before we get into it, it's 40 ppm for those of you that are wanting to know the ppm of this particular one. And we're also dealing with different oak as well. We're dealing with wine casks, and we're dealing with American casks as well. So again, it's giving so much note off the nose, and even more whenever we're whenever we're going to taste it.
Yeah, so this is 65% first fill American whiskey cask, 10% second fill whiskey casks, and 25% second fill French wine casks.
And this is why you have the notes. I love that you're backing me up.
Yeah, I do my research. I'm like a geek like that. I told you.
I love it.
Trevor makes a good point. What is considered high ppm? Because I know he's new to Scotch, so that would probably be a good discussion to have for him.
Yeah.
Actually, he had a real good question. Let me see if I could go back. Okay, here we go. So maybe Erica, if you have some advice for Trev. So once you have a pour of peated Scotch, you continue drinking peat. I couldn't get the peat taste out of my mouth and feels like it would compromise other non-peated pours.
Yeah. So, and you guys jump in. I don't want to be the only one to obviously answer to this, but sometimes what I say is, sure, like if you're wanting to go like around, if you're at a whiskey extravaganza, or if you're at something like that, I wouldn't maybe start at a heavily peated whiskey or something like that. I'd obviously go something lighter, but I think it also depends on what type of peated Scotch you're drinking too, because none of them are the same. We are getting our peat the peat. We're utilizing the peat bogs from a different place than Laphroaig or Ardbeg or any of those are. So that plays a huge part in how heavy that iodine medicinal Band-Aid quality comes across.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, the true kind of balance of flavor that you might get with other whiskeys out there, and certainly with Port Charlotte, I can jump to a Port Charlotte and go back to an Islay barley, and I can still taste my way through it. It hasn't completely tarnished my palate.
Question from Stellar Matrix. She actually just tried Laphroaig for the first time recently and ended up loving it. She said, "What are the ranges for ppm?"
Yeah, so they're right around the same as what Port Charlotte is. They're considered a heavy ppm or a heavily peated Scotch. When it comes to any of those ranges, you're dealing with anywhere from like a 45 to a 55 or so, I believe.
So does ppm really kind of give you an indication of really how peaty it is, or is it just kind of because I feel like you could have a high ppm, but depending on the maturation, that could affect it a lot and maybe not taste as peaty as something that might be lower. So, I mean, when you're looking at ppm, is it just kind of a guideline, or is it more of a,
Yeah, no, and honestly, I think it's different for every distillery. Some believe that ppm is like the truth teller to the heaviest peated whatever, but you make an incredibly great point in the sense of it depends on how long it's in the cask for. It depends on what type of casks it's in. It depends on where the cask is located. It depends on where you're getting that peat from, so on and so forth. So I think yes, it does tell a story, and what you are about to taste will be peaty. But it is a matter of how balanced will it be. Is it going to be all peat and no cask, or is there going to be some other stuff going on in that glass? So, yeah, that's my best way of kind of explaining it.
No, that makes sense, because a lot of people always, even people in the chat were saying that it really, ppm could be a little bit misleading, especially depending on how it's aged. A higher ppm can not even taste as peaty as something that's lower because of how it's matured and so on and so forth. So I'm glad you kind of attacked that question.
Yeah, and then you have, that other lovely large bottle in front of you, and obviously we haven't finished the Port Charlotte, but the Octomore, most heavily peated Scotch in the entire world. And some people will say that some of even our range and other ones that they've had are a 40 or 50 ppm taste more peaty to them than the Octomore does. So again, it goes back to so many different elements when you're making this particular spirit.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad we touched on that. Hey, Dusty Dan is in the chat. Thanks for coming in, Dusty. Appreciate it. So I actually put Port Charlotte 10. I made a video and I put Port Charlotte 10 head to head against Ardbeg 10, and Port Charlotte 10 came out ever so slightly for me, just because of the I think the fruit flavors and the more rounded flavors that it had. Like Ardbeg 10 to me is kind of like a freight train coming through, and it's just going to attack you with peat and flavor and smoke and and bacon and all those great flavors everyone loves in an Ardbeg. Whereas this has just a little bit more nuance to it, I felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. I love Ardbeg and I drink Lefroy and all of them. I do not discriminate against any peated whiskeys whatsoever, but they're just different. Yeah.
So when you're not drinking Bruichladdich, what are you drinking?
God, probably a Miller High Life.
That's awesome. I should have preempted that with what scotch are you drinking?
No, I'm just teasing. No,
that is the champagne of beers right there.
Right.
Any of my coworkers or my brand team that ever watch this are going to be like, no.
That is the champagne of beers right there.
Oh my god. No, and honestly, I'm never going to stop learning. And I hope I never stop learning about scotches and whiskeys because I think they're the most fascinating thing ever. So it really depends on whatever is being poured in front of me, truly, because usually the person that is telling me, I probably never had it before or whatever. But if I'm being like really honest, I'd probably say if it wasn't a Bruichladdich, it would be like, I don't know, other scotches. I really lean toward like Highland ones. I lean toward bourbon sometimes. It again goes back to whatever I feel like.
I want to call out Swami from Malton to Montreal for a $3 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you coming in. Swami and I actually did a live stream not too long ago, and we both tasted the Bruichladdich Black Art on that live stream. We were going through. It was my first pour I ever had of it, and I was totally blown away. So that was an exciting night that night.
You're like, this is incredible.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. So is Port Charlotte 10 now going to be like the others, where they're going to experiment with different casks and different barleys for each release, or is this kind of like the classic laddie where it's going to maintain a specific profile?
Yeah. So Port Charlotte moving forward will have this like green kind of colored glass as well as the 10, but we have now a series of the Port Charlottes. For those of you that have been around with Port Charlotte, kind of when it was the gray tin and the white tin, we had the Scottish barley version, and then we had the Islay barley version. There we go. Of course he has it.
Yeah. Of course he has it.
Of course he has it. And so I think a great way to kind of talk through it is we will always have the Port Charlotte 10. That is going to be an ongoing thing. And then we have the Port Charlotte Islay Barley series, just look at the vintages of the Islay Barley. And then we have the cask explorations as well. So Port Charlotte and then X cask. So it'll disclose if it's a wine cask or whatever. And those are the three that are essentially the ones that are available very much to the United States for now. And I'm sure we'll see more in the future.
All right. So what do you think, Erica? Do you want to finish off tonight with an Octomore?
Heck yeah.
All right. Let me grab. So I happen to have the 9.3.
All right, I've got 9.1. Matt, what are you bringing to the table?
I have 7.1, 7.3,
oh, geez.
8.1, 8.3, and 8.4.
Turning it the wrong way. And then I also have, which I can share as well, obviously.
Who in the chat is drinking Zima or White Claw?
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Who's drinking White Claw? I want to know.
What's the ppm on that 10.3 anyway?
114 actually.
Wow, way different.
Did you say 10.3? Is that?
I'm turning it the wrong way.
Is that even out yet?
She's special. Remember?
Oh my god.
No, it should actually be coming to you soon in the next month or two. But yes.
So can you mention or talk about any things that are coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, sure. So
all right, guys, pay attention. New stuff coming out. Here we go. Take note.
Here we go. It's very exciting.
Take note.
So we have our 10 series coming out very soon. So the 10 series is going to be super fun for you guys. I've also seen some other barley explorations of organic. We have the other stuff going out from there, and then I tried out of the cask when I was at the distillery, the black art that will be released to us very shortly, that was at Cask strength, and I can tell you right now, it is insanely good. So, yeah.
Did you say you had a black art? The black art latest release is coming out. That's going to be Cask strength.
It was. Well, I had it at Cask strength.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous.
Yeah.
All right, Erica.
Also, if those,
hey, look, Erica, we have an Octomore bottle fill right here. It's done.
Oh, see, we need to replenish, my friend.
It's sad. I need to find more.
Yeah, and then we have some series out right now as well. I don't know if people have seen them out in the wild, if you will. They are what's called our old and rare series. So huge connoisseurs of Bruichladdich. The old and rare series are essentially 85, 86. 90, so 1985, 1986, 1987, so on and so forth, casks. They all are different and a true, again, exploration of our distillery when potentially we were either locked up and not being utilized, or when we were seeing other ownerships taking over our distillery. We have done different series with them. So one of them is the Magnificent Seven, which is all sherry casks.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is a bourbon casks. So you'll be seeing a lot more of those type of explorations that are limited releases, so on and so forth. Yeah.
All right. So which one are you pouring, Matt? Since you have all of them.
All of them.
All of them. Why would I not pour them all? So what's poured so far is 7-1, 7-3, 8-3, and 8-4.
Oh, great.
Because
I have a question from Malton of Montreal here. He's a Bruichladdich fan like I am. Normally the black arts are cask strength. Erica, why was the 6.1 not cask strength? Serious question. Please ask for Jason.
Serious question.
Serious.
So the black arts are essentially they all differ in their proof and all of that kind of stuff, but they're so he's right in the sense of some of them have been, I think, cask strength. Some of them have added a little bit of water added to them, but I don't think the new one, I don't know what the new one is coming out, if it is or if it isn't. So
Any reason why the 6.1 was particularly not cask strength?
Is he saying that he has the 6.1?
He's asking why the 6.1 wasn't cask strength.
Oh, Adam Hannett.
And we have, let's see here. Where was the other? Malton Montreal says all but the 6.1 was cask strength. So he wanted to know why that one particularly wasn't.
I would go back to potentially what Adam, because that was the year that Jim, that was the last, it was either the last year Jim oversaw the black art, or it was the one that Adam oversaw. So it's just a differentiation of master distiller.
Okay, that makes sense. Hey, Captain Make It Happens in the house. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming back. Let's see here. All right, perfect. Nick Foles asked if you could only have one Bruichladdich, which one would you be picking? Definitely one of the black arts. I don't know which one, but the one I had was amazing. So I would definitely pick a black art. But if I'm thinking of like an everyday Bruichladdich that I could probably get, I would have to try that organic, the new one. But probably, I don't know. I have to drink down more of that bear barley because it was really good and very impressive. But I am a huge fan of the Port Charlotte 10. So, Trev Wilson asked, "What do the numbers mean, or the different iterations on the Octomores?"
Yeah, so great question. So where do you guys have in front of you? You have the 9.1, 10.3.
I have the 9.3, which is 5 years. This is 5 years old with a ppm of 133.
Yep. So the 9.1, so the only ones that you'll ever see within the United States are 9.1, 9.3, and then 9.4. 9.2 is a duty free, so you'll never see it in the United States. And then the others are a differentiation between either ppm and kind of the limits or whatever we wanted for that particular year. The 0.3 series is always going to be an Islay barley, and then the 0.4 series is always going to be a cask exploration. So it's going to be a virgin oak or a wine, whatever. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
The 9.3 is the let's see here. Trying to see on here where it was, what cask this was finished in, this was aged in. Matt, are you putting the kids to bed?
No. Those kids never go to bed. You know that.
True.
You have to wait till they pass the hell out.
Oh my God.
She knows when they were at the party when you guys were here. Shit,
They were up with
like
us.
after 1. They don't
were
care.
up with us. They stayed up.
They're used to this. This is just whiskey time all the time here. They're used to it.
See if I could look this up real quick. The Octomore 9.3. So yeah, this is the Dia Logos.
So this one speaks a lot to, again, since we're talking about the 0.3 series, it's going to talk a lot more about the barley and romanticizing the barley going on. So I'm looking for the actual cask though.
Oh, that is
So
so
25
delicious.
So it's first fill ex-American, third fill virgin oak, second fill Rivasaltes. I'm probably butchering that. And then second fill Syrah, second fill bourbon. So there is a lot going on in your glass right now.
Yeah. Oh my God! On the nose, that the palate on this one is just. Again, I'm getting a little bit of a peach, but I'm getting like a black tea type note to it. Black tea, peach, smoke, still some bacon in there. Love it. Amazing.
Yeah, the 8.4 is so buttery compared to the other 3 since it's that virgin oak.
It's the virgin oak. And usually we will use virgin oak for the 0.4 series, but we always like to joke with Adam. It's virgin oak until it's not. It's this ppm until it's not.
Oh, we have another super chat from Arthur Lopez. Thank you so much, man. This is your third tonight. You are a true scholar and a gentleman. And a question for Erica. I can only find Octomore online from Bruichladdich. If I like medicinal, briny, funky, earthy smoke flavor, should I go 9.1 or 9.3?
Ooh, that is tough. I would say the 0.3 only because you're dealing more with maritime and Islay influence, but I think that it also depends on the series. So
the 9.3, I could agree with you that it's very briny on the nose.
Yeah.
It's very sea salt, briny.
And I'm drinking the 10.3, which I know is just mean, but it's super funky. A lot of maritime, sea spray, all that.
It's extremely maritime, but it still has that sweet bacon smoke to it.
Yeah. And if you're really wanting to get into the weeds, not to call out our website, but it really does go heavily into each particular one, and it jumps just like a graph showcasing kind of where you are on the spectrum for. Is it earthy? Is it this? Is it that? So that'll also help,
So the Octomore 10s, which one is your favorite so far? I haven't tried any of them, and
I've only had the 10.1 and 10.3 so far. 10.3, I think, and I'm having it for the very first time right now with you guys.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I think I'm leaning toward 10.3 though.
Yeah.
It's super, super, super yummy.
So is 10.3 kind of like the 9.3 where it's more briny and?
Yep, I would say so. So this
Yeah.
one is a 6-year-old. Its ppm is 114. So and then the ABV on it is 61.3. So it's packing a punch for sure. But it's
And I'm sorry, how old is that one? What's the?
This is a 6-year-old.
Nice. Love the young peatiness.
Mm-hmm.
Graham Young just did a $6.99 super chat out of Canada. Thank you so much, Graham. He said Octomore 4.2 turned me into a Bruichladdich fan for life.
Wow.
I love that.
Nice.
Yeah, and you actually made a really good point that for the 10 series, we are really trying to explore, like, now that we've introduced like the limits of a 300 and whatever ppm and a 10-year-old Octomore, now essentially what we want to do is we want to scale that back and unveil like a young peat and what that tastes like, and a younger Octomore or a lower ppm, and kind of really help people explore and get to know truly the styles of all of these different ones. So.
Well, I'd be a big fan of that because I love the sharpness. I love the sharpness and the bite of a younger peated whiskey.
You'll definitely get it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, my solution for everyone is just buy all the Octomores you find. That solves your problem. Then you can just, figure out on a daily basis which one's the best for you.
So, Matt, out of the 17 Octomores you had poured there, which one do you like the best?
I liked 8.3 the best. That's just my favorite. It's like, even though it's the highest as far as ppm, but you don't get as high the ppm as far as the peat flavors go, but it's the most rounded and just the most cohesive, complex flavors as far as I'm concerned. I just love the 8.3.
The great one.
Yeah.
It's really sweet compared to the other ones. Even though it has all the briny, salty notes, it's also sweeter and more fruity than the other Octomores.
And I know I did notice that he was having trouble getting Octomores. You guys are welcome to send me a message, Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Now you have my name, so you're certainly welcome to look me up.
I'll need some help getting into some Bruichladdich because there's just not. I live in Ohio. There's just not a lot of them here.
Yeah. So we can certainly look into. I have the capability to figure out where it is and where you can get it and how to get it. So,
that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I just make Justin get it for us. It solves that problem. He's the local guy in Texas for them. So
hey, Justin Riggs.
I don't know if he's in the chat or not, but if not, he knows. I talk to him frequently.
Yeah. Yep. He's the man.
He comes out and hangs out with us just because he likes to hang out here. So it's awesome.
We had such a great time that night. We hung out till like midnight or 1. We had such.
It was a great freaking event. That was an awesome one.
It was a great.
So what's the distribution like of Octomore? Is it nationwide or is it
Yeah, not so much nationwide. Obviously, with this being a little bit more allocated, smaller as far as quantity and all that, it really is delivered more toward the people that are drinking more amounts of it. So as you can imagine, New York, California, Texas, those are kind of like the higher ones that are getting a lot of our Octomore. But you get our certain ones that definitely trickle in there.
So this is a lovely chat by Eric. If nobody asks where I buried the body, I can get you any slightly used Octomore. That's scary. Radislav Traps has a question for you. He said, please ask Erica what she thinks about Cadenhead 25-year-old or BB Boutique 23-year-old.
I have not had.
Are those Bruichladdich independent bottlings?
They must have been because I haven't had either of them.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Radislav.
Sorry. I would never lie. I would be like, oh, they're delicious.
All right, guys. So what I'm going to do real quick is before we finish out the night with some Octomore, because we've been on the air for almost an hour and a half already. Time flies when you're having fun.
Right, we have.
I do want to do my my giveaway. So for any of you that watched my review for this beauty, this is the Four Roses limited edition 2019. It's got 21-year-old bourbon in it. I said in the review that I'm going to give away a sample tonight. So I have the list here of everyone that entered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw all the names in random.org. And then we're going to pick out a number and see who wins the sample tonight. So let me throw all this in here. Let me share my screen so I can show everybody exactly what I'm doing here. Random.org. Can you guys see that? See what I'm doing in random.org?
No. I can't see anything.
Oh, here we go.
Share screen.
All right. There we go. Share. All right. Here we go.
There we go. That looks promising.
Random.org. Here we go. So here are all the names. We had 130 something entries.
Nice.
So here are all the names. Let's say randomize. All right. Here are the numbers. So I'm going to ask my phone to pick a number between, let's see here. I was actually 117. Okay. So between 1 and 117, here we go. Pick a number between 1 and 117. Okay. So between 1 and 117, here we go. The number is 67. And on that list, 67 is Chad Wallace. Chad Wallace, congratulations. You win the sample of Four Roses 2019 small batch. He's usually in the chat. I don't know if he's still in.
I saw him in there earlier. I don't know if he's still there.
He's like, this is taking a long time.
I thought you meant Captain. Captain wins everything.
Yeah, Captain Make It Happen usually wins everything. But yeah, Chad Wallace wins, so I'm going to have to contact him and let him know that he won the sample Four Roses. Congrats, Chad. That's for you, buddy.
Woo!
All right, so before we finish out the night, guys, have one more sip of Octomore here.
Oh, I'm going to grab the black art just because.
Dude, mine is empty, you son of a bitch. As my grandmother would say.
All good. You'll get some soon.
Dark Meat Chicken said, Chad is here with me, so send it here.
Nice.
If anyone knows Chad Wallace, make him aware that he is the lucky winner. So, let's see here. Karen B. Ford, congrats, Chad Wallace. Yeah, thanks, guys. Walton Montreal says, all right, love y'all, but hockey is calling me. Oh, he's going to watch hockey right now. Okay. All right. So I remember when I had the black art, that Pacific Dram being extremely fruit forward, but at the same time well balanced, a little bit smoky, a little bit floral, and it just kept evolving as I kept sipping on it. Yeah.
This will definitely be on the list of 10 things to try before you die, for sure.
Yeah. Dram Man Kentucky said, must be present to win.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, doesn't he have to be present to win?
Trev Wilson, me and Chad are best friends. Just told me to tell you to go ahead and send it to me and not message.
Not to message him.
Yes. Very good, Trev. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's funny.
Question for you, Erica, from Stellar Matrix.
What's my IG name? My IG for, I guess what I do is Erica, my first name, .whiskey, WHISKEY is my handle. Erica.whiskey or Erica. Let me make sure I got that right. It might be an underscore. Let me make sure I got that right. I should know that. Nope. Erica _.
Erica _ whiskey with an E.
Yep. Whiskey with an E. It's me with a hat on. So drinking a drink, which is very common for me.
James Brower says, hooray to Bruichladdich. Thanks for putting this together and for bringing in your guests. No, I appreciate it. Thank you again to Erica and Matt for helping me get Erica out as a guest because she's absolutely wonderful tonight. So
no worries, guys.
As we sign off here, we had an amazing night, some great whiskey, great talk about Bruichladdich. Thank you so much for all your knowledge, for everything that you brought to the table, Erica. I really appreciate it. Besides Instagram. Let everyone else know where to maybe find you, and say thanks.
Yeah, of course. So I travel quite a bit. So hopefully I'll be at the next whiskey show near you. But I also do post some of my events on my Instagram, on my feed, and all that kind of stuff. If you are in the Southeast region and I'm in your region, come see me. I'd love to meet some of you guys.
Awesome. And Maddie, why don't you tell everyone where to find you? You 500 subscriber stud, you.
Yeah, we hit 500 today, so thank you for subscribing. We appreciate that. Obviously, we're Whiskey Crusaders on YouTube. We're also on Instagram and Facebook under the same names, and we'll be there in Austin with everybody here in, I guess, about 3 weeks. And we'll see everybody hopefully at La Quinta and at the Bastards Ball. It should be an amazing, amazing event.
Yeah, and I am getting to – so, Matt, we're going to do a live stream in 2 weeks at your place, right?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah,
have you been there yet?
I have not been there yet, so I am awaiting the madness.
Get ready, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm flying in on Wednesday, the day before we head down. I'm going to help Matt with all his bottles he's bringing down, and hopefully for my work, I'm hoping I could try some stuff. So it'll be good.
That's how it generally works. It's a pretty good payment system.
Yes, I will work for whiskey, so it'll be great. So thanks again.
People requests. I am seeing you guys pop up, so you have found the right person.
Awesome.
These are the drones you were looking for, so congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, and she likes Star Wars too. Wow, what the hell? So. All right, well, thanks again tonight to Matt from Whiskey Crusaders. Erica, thank you so much for coming and being part of the live stream. Can't thank you enough for all your knowledge. And as I always say, it is not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. So cheers to you all out there. Thanks for joining the live stream. And I will see you guys soon. So take care, everybody. And congrats to Chad Wallace. Take care, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.